me say yeah. Let me say yeah.
All right, welcome to episode 6 here of the Cheap Seats podcast. It's been a while. Life's gotten busy. Philip, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, it has been a while, and I just want to let everyone know I was willing to record the other day, and old Jimmy here on his spring break was too tired, you know,
I was.
so
I
he didn't
was.
want to record the one night, but it's okay because now we're back, we're here. It's Good Friday, so happy Easter, everybody. We are back for is it episode 6 or 7? One of the two.
It's 6. I went and checked
All right,
today.
all right,
Yeah,
it's
definitely
episode
episode 6.
6.
All right, so what are we doing? We diving right into it here or what?
Yeah, we can dive right into it. Lots has been going on in the old NHL. You and I we just chatted the other day about 50 goal scorers. There's a new 50 goal scorer in town. His name is Zach Hyman. Why don't you expand a little bit on what we were kind of talking about?
Sorry, my cat just jumped in front of the thing. Okay, yeah, we got a couple 50 goal scorers. We got Sam Reinhart and Zach Hyman, but a lot of people seem to be very polarized by the Zach Hyman 50 goals. I don't know. Just been, looking a lot online about, it's all because of McDavid. It's all because he just gets tap ins. His parents are rich. like, um, yeah, I found it really strange that we're not celebrating 50 goal scorers, especially when offensive talent. I'm like, why are we not happy about this, right? And also another first time 50 goal scorer, Sam Reinhart. So we can talk a little bit about it and sort of, I wanted to get your thoughts. Two first time 50 goal scorers. And the funny thing is, we now have 100 players in NHL history who've scored 50 goals in a season. So take me through it, Philly.
Yeah, it's I was kind of looking at it. We were talking about it the other day about 50 goal scorers, and I was kind of joking around, just, you know who I am. I like to get a reaction out of people, and I was just kind of joking around that it's not that impressive. And obviously it is impressive. Like a goal's a goal. Like a player who has scored one goal in NHL history is better than probably 99% of the hockey players in the world. So to do 50 in one season, that's pretty impressive. One thing I did just go to look at too is, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. I just find the amount of 50 goal scorers is going up per season. Like I believe there were 4 or 5 last year,
Mm-hmm.
and 4 the year before. Um, and then like before that, it looks like it was like Ovechkin, 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 and that was it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know. I was just wondering kind of like what your thoughts are. Like my thoughts are it's impressive. For Zach Hyman to get 50 goals, good for him. I'm not a huge Oilers fan, but he's a guy that you can cheer for, and good person, good guy. Toronto's got to be kicking themselves for letting that guy go. But yeah, no, going back to what I was just saying, like I have the list here. Last year we had 5: Connor McDavid, Pasternak, Rantanen, Draisaitl, and Braden Point. The year before it was 4. Um, the year before 2. Obviously we had the COVID year, and then for the 1, 2, 3 years before that, it was Ovechkin, and there was even a couple years in there with no 50 goal scorers. What do you think that lull was from, or what do you think has happened here in the last few years where we're just kind of getting more than we normally do?
Well, I think power plays are getting better. I think that's one. If you look at sort of power play percentages, if you had a 20%, 20 to 22%, like you were leading the league, now that number is closer to 30. I think the players are getting faster. They're shooting harder. Um, I think just the way teams are built now, there's a lot of speed and a lot of skill. I mean, you look at guys like we've never seen defensemen on the back end like Cale Makar before. Obviously, Connor McDavid is an absolute unicorn, probably the best player we've seen maybe ever. And so like all these teams, the league just seems to get more talented as time goes on. In terms of the two that we see, I think Sam Reinhart, obviously we're starting to see how really good Alexander Barkov is because you look at Jonathan Huberdeau, 110 points, plays alongside Barkov, incredible. And then you look at this year, Sam Reinhart played majority of the season alongside Barkov, and he's all of a sudden a 50 goal scorer. So, but not only that, but sometimes it's weird. It's like really late bloomers. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not like Hyman's 31 years of age. It really reminds me of the year Kreider scored 50 because, there was a lot of the same things. They're saying, oh, he just scores on the power play or he just scores off tip ins. And it's like, well, if it's that easy to score tap ins or in around the net, we would probably have 25 to 30, 50 goal scorers a year. But, I don't buy the narrative that McDavid is the reason why Hyman scored 50. I think those two players complement each other really well. Obviously, Hyman drives the net, right? 36.
Yeah, he goes to that hard place for sure.
What was it? 40? Near 40 of his goals are, inside that top of the bottom half of those circles and the blue paint, right? There was actually a chart that came out. And it takes talent to score in around there because you're eating cross checks. There's a lot of, you got to really, really battle to get those kind of goals. So I think it's still impressive, even if he's not scoring from, traditionally like a Matthews type would, where they could shoot the puck from far out with pinpoint accuracy or whatever it is. But I think McDavid and Hyman complement each other. I think Hyman also helps McDavid by his ability to drive to the net. It pushes the D back. It allows McDavid a little more space coming into the zone, right? Obviously, McDavid's got that speed through the neutral zone. So if it's backing the D up, maybe they are paying a little more attention to McDavid coming in on the entry and Hyman's able to sneak in behind. But regardless, 50's 50, man. Like it's an incredible accomplishment. I think anyone who's trying to discredit it is.
Well, that's another thing haters say, right? Like power play goals don't count, and the tap-ins don't count, and they'll make any excuse, but
they all can.
Exactly. It's like you say, and it's the whole thing about like Austin Matthews. Say what you like about Austin Matthews. He's the best goal scorer in the NHL. He knows how to put the puck in the net. The guy's pushing 60 right now. We had that debate last time about 70 goals versus 100 assists, and we both just said it, both are impressive. And just as I just said, 50 goals is impressive too.
Absolutely. If you score 50 goals, you're unreal.
Yeah, like I'm looking here at the top goal
Will
scorers
Zach
in the
Hyman
league.
do that again? I mean,
maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
somebody
somebody
completely off the radar could do it next season too, but that's what we're saying. Like you look back at Jonathan Cheechoo when he did it. Did anybody see Jonathan Cheechoo getting 50 goals?
No, and then there was there was someone else who scored 50 that was kind of obscure. I can't name, kind of escapes me, but talking about Hyman going back to like leaving Toronto, I think he was coming off 31 points and the Oilers gave him $5.5 million. And at the time I honestly, everyone was saying best contract in hockey. I was one of those guys that was like, I don't know if I'd give a guy 7 years at 5.5 after 31 points playing alongside Matthews.
You always got to cheer for those guys though. And
oh, for sure.
Happy he proved you wrong. Right. So.
Well, yeah. I think he proved a lot of people wrong because anybody in their right mind that said he was going to be a 50 goal scorer, near 100-point player, no one said that. And now all these people are going back and saying, well, look what he did now. And it's like, well, no one saw that coming. But, what is Hyman realistically? I mean, right now he's a 50 goal scorer. Next year, do I think he'll get 50? Probably not. I mean, I think he'll do. I really see it as like a Chris Kreider situation. Like Kreider didn't even score 30 until he scored 50. So never mind that. I could see next year Hyman being 30 to 35 on like normally continuing as long as the body
which is
stays healthy.
unreal.
And
That's still
yeah,
unreal.
and you don't know how guys are going to age, right? So good on them. I mean, the Oilers, they got a 50 goal scorer. They've got, a top 5 defenseman in the NHL right now, and Evan Bouchard. They got the best 2 players on the planet. Stuart Skinner's playing well. So this is probably as good as year of any for them to take a serious run at it, I think. The West is going to be hard. Is there a guarantee? No, but they're definitely at least on the ice and analytically trending in the right direction.
Sticking with the Edmonton Oilers, so was it last Saturday or Sunday? I don't remember which day. I think it was Sunday. We found out Evander Kane healthy scratched after yeah, it was on Sunday because the night before in Toronto, CBC Sportsnet put out a little clip of perhaps him and Draisaitl having a bit of a dispute on the bench. What do you think's up with Evander Kane? He hasn't really been doing much lately on the scoreboard. Think that's just frustration or
Yeah, it's frustration amongst a guy that you look at Leon Draisaitl. He's a high end offensive talent. Like we said, top 3 player in the NHL, probably top 5. However you want to shuffle some of those guys at the top, but when you're a player like that and you're playing the game and your mind is like, you're one of the elite level players, there are going to be little things amongst your line mates and in the game that are going to frustrate you, that are, you're going to want the puck in certain spots. Like, a guy like Draisaitl knows when he needs the puck, where he needs the puck, what he wants to try and accomplish, and what he can accomplish when he gets it. And my guess is like maybe Kane's just not doing some of the things that Draisaitl feels like the line needs to succeed. And so Draisaitl is one of those guys who, some guys might sit there quietly and then they might have it out in the locker room. Draisaitl's just like, no, we're going to have it out now. Like frustrated. It looked like when he was talking to him, it was like frustrated over a play because he's pointing, he's like, directing sort of things on the ice. Is it cause for concern because it's Evander Kane and pretty much everywhere he's went, it's ended poorly? Maybe. I mean, he came to the Edmonton Oilers because of basically a situation in San Jose that came to the end, played well, earned himself a 4-year contract. A lot of people were kind of split, it's 4 years too long. I think a lot of people were looking for 2 to 3, but, now you see sort of like from him, whether it's the third line or the second line. Right now, he just doesn't seem to fit chemistry-wise amongst the 12 forwards from what I can see. And it's really unfortunate because I really think that he could be the complete X factor going into the playoffs because we saw it, when they went to the conference finals against Colorado. Like, Kane was outstanding, right? And even that first year where he sort of came in and was with them as well. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can work that out. I mean, for the Oilers' sake, you hope they can. Or is this just another situation like Atlanta's life and then it's over, right? So I think he's got this playoff to sort of figure it out. I don't think the next 10 games really matter a ton. The Oilers kind of could catch first, but likely are going to finish second. So they got a little bit of time just to work out some of the kinks and figure out like what they're going to do just rolling into those playoffs. And it's kind of what I think.
yeah, it sounds like my whole career with Bar South and Lane Larson yelling at me, "Who you got?"
Who do you got? Who do you got?
Yeah,
You'd be looking
exactly.
around. I heard that a
Yeah,
few
this
times too. So
exactly. This is this is me. This is who you got. Um,
so
moving on from Evander Kane, just looking at the playoff picture, how worried should the Vancouver Canucks be? Right now they are pegged up against the red hot Nashville Predators.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one because a lot of the playoffs is kind of like not so much how your season's gone as a whole, but it's kind of like are you peaking at the right time? And like obviously Vancouver was unbelievable in the first half of the season, and they've hit some speed bumps along the way. Um, everyone could see it. They were on a PDO heater. Their shooting percentages were off the charts, and now that's sort of starting to level out. They lost Thatcher Demko for a bit. So obviously he's a massive part of that club. And so I guess we'll kind of see. I still think the Canucks are a good team, but then you've got Nashville, who are I think they're 16-0-2 in their last 18. Yeah, so just some of the players that have been firing on all cylinders for the Predators. You're looking at Roman Josi, who is having a Norris Trophy season, and Philip Forsberg obviously has been unbelievable. Those two have kind of picked it up quite a bit during this sort of hot streak. You've got great goaltending. They're not giving up a lot of chances either. You got Ryan O'Reilly, who's playing like a Selke Trophy winner right now, not getting nearly enough credit. And of course, the coach, Andrew Burnett, like this guy's had an interesting history because he came over, he was with the Florida Panthers, part of their big turnaround. He gets fired because of the first round exit, goes to New Jersey. They explode onto the scene. As an assistant next to Lindy Ruff, he leaves. Things don't go well in New Jersey. Ruff gets fired. Obviously, goaltending was a big part of that. We've talked about the Devils before. And then he's off to Nashville, right? And they kind of just, hung around until they finally, it appeared that, they started to buy in what he was selling. And now they're on fire right now. And yeah, I mean, if I was a Canucks fan, I'd be concerned. It's not the matchup that I think is easy, but really, what matchup is at this point? Do you want the Oilers? Do you want the Vegas Golden Knights? Do you want the LA Kings? Maybe the Kings might be the easiest, but
Yeah, it's like there's no real free spaces on the bingo card when it comes to playoff hockey. But yeah, just going back to the Predators for me, it's like, last season they were that team that was kind of selling everything off and looking for a retool, and something's just kind of clicking this year, and I'm just kind of wondering what the staff there in Nashville's kind of thinking now, a year later after selling off a bunch of their guys and kind of going for it here. It's just like kind of like a way that you do it properly. Like I personally don't feel like they're there to go compete for a Stanley Cup yet, but they're going to be a hard out, I think, for these teams. And it's like you look at the Florida Panthers last year, squeeze into the playoffs, go all the way to the finals, and you never know. And that's just the whole like mentality with the NHL now is just get in and you never know.
yeah, I think it's all going to be predicated on how long Yossi can play at a high level. Obviously, he's a big important part. Philip Forsberg's not going anywhere. He signed a big contract. I think O'Reilly's there for the next 3 years. After this, I know there was talks about trading UC Saros. I wonder if they even do that anymore because he's on a pretty good contract. Like, it's really funny with the Predators because they're not in that echelon of teams that you'd think of competing for the Stanley Cup. But if you look at the teams sort of below them, I don't see a team sort of like a team that's up and coming in the next couple of years that's going to overtake. So
Calgary
wouldn't
Flames,
be
Jimmy. The
surprised if
Calgary
Nashville.
Flames. I'm just joking.
I said 2 to 3 years, bud. So it's funny to me. Yeah, I think this franchise goes as long as Yossi can sort of be at that level, and if they keep Saros, they've obviously got some. Yeah, like they sold off Yakov Trenin, a few guys even at the deadline. Obviously, I don't see Tyson Barrie probably not being back next year. Dante Fabro's another guy who's a really good. I think they want to decide whether they factor into long-term plans with him. So, yeah, for now. And then you got to think too. An interesting one is Yaroslav Askarov, who's the starting goaltender in Milwaukee, who's been absolutely incredible and considered to be the goalie of their future. Does he come in? Does that allow them to trade Roman Josi to get maybe multiple pieces around? There was talk about that as being like his successor, and when does that happen? So there are some questions in Nashville. I think right now, enjoy the fact that they're going to go to the playoffs. I think the organization will probably see where they're at after this. If they can win a round, then maybe it changes for them. But if they, if it's a first round exit, which I think for Nashville before the season, I think most people thought was probably a bubble team. So they're pretty much right where sort of most people thought. Or at least I did. I thought fighting for a wild card spot. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They're always kind of an anomaly. They're always like middle of the pack kind of every year sort of
Yeah,
team.
exactly. I just want to move over to the east here for a second. The Philadelphia Flyers. Goalie Ivan Fedotov comes over from Russia. What do you know about this guy? I know we got some fans that listen that are Philadelphia Flyer fans. That's why I thought I'd bring this up to you. Um, with the situation, obviously with Carter Hart there in Philadelphia, they obviously needed some help there in net. So what do you know about Ivan Fedotov?
Ivan Fedotov, he's an interesting one. He was drafted in the 7th round by the Philadelphia Flyers. Spent most of his time over in the KHL with CSKA Moscow. Very highly touted goalie. He's got decent numbers. Save percentage hovering around 915, 914 in that range. He is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, so I think they wanted to get him over to kind of see where he's at. I know, obviously, with the Carter Hart situation, it obviously made things a little complicated. And so now they're kind of wondering, well, what's going to be the future of the goalie? I think at one point they thought maybe Cal Peterson was going to be that guy, but some stuff never worked out. I think they like Samuel Ersson. They've kind of tried a different number, another young goalie in there. I think Sandstrom was the other one. I think that's his name. But yeah, and there was, I think if I remember right, and I don't know if this is true, Phil, I think Fedotov had some issues, like even being able to come over. Like there were some sort of like military obligations for Fedotov over in
Yes.
Russia. So that there was that, and I think yeah. So it sounds like they've worked out both sides. He is going to come over. My assumption is he's going to get
He's
some
there.
games in, and then
He's there.
yeah.
He's with
So
the
I think
team
he's going to get
now.
some games.
So, and he looks big. He looks like a big goalie too. So
Six
always
foot
out.
six, I believe. 200. Yeah, he was a 7th round pick in 2015. He's 27 years old, so he's not a young guy. He's put up some monster numbers. Sorry, I was looking at his numbers where he was like Shesterkin-esque numbers.
Well, I'm glad
Like
you were ready for that question because usually Jimmy and I go over everything before we chat, and I kind of threw
I
this
was
one at
not
him.
ready. I
Well,
wasn't
it sounded
completely
like
ready.
you were. Fake it
Well,
till
a
you
little
make it,
bit.
right, buddy?
I know, like that's the thing. Like if I'm digging, but I try to honestly with prospect, I try to follow all the teams just because I like to, because when a guy comes in the NHL, I could say, hey, I know that guy because I followed him through his amateur career and all the way through. It's
Right.
something I like to do. You got to spend a lot of time in it and watching lots of clips and stuff. But
Well, I figured you're
uh,
either gonna tell me what I want to hear, or you're gonna say I'm not sure, and then we would have just moved on, right? So,
I'll never say I'm not sure. I'll tell you what I know. But yeah,
so
Fedotov has the makings of being the real deal. But we'll see.
time will
I think
tell
if
for
he can give
sure.
Philly a 9-9, I think he can give Philly a 9-10 at the NHL level, and that's great. I think that's fine. What other options
Absolutely.
do they have at this point? I mean, you could go with
S-
Ersson or find out what you have here, right?
So wrapping up here,
I didn't realize Fedotov was already 27. I thought he was younger, but that's my bad.
but for a goalie, that's not that bad.
No, it's and yeah, goalies are strange in terms of how they develop. You don't really start seeing them
Right.
on a regular basis until about 25, and we don't even, and at this point, how many are there like true number ones? I mean, most nets are split now, right?
Exactly.
You don't have a guy playing 70 games a year.
So wrapping up here, uh, we tried to get a special guest on this week. Didn't work out. We will get him
No,
on though. I don't know. Do you want to talk about this, or should we save it as a surprise?
I'll talk about it. Yeah, I just started I was hanging out with my dad, and so he started telling me stories about his playing days, and I was dying laughing. Um, my dad is in his 70s, so obviously he played hockey.
A long time ago.
Gosh, he played a long time ago. Probably between the years of like 1970s. I'd say he played in the 70s. So just hearing some of his stories and just outrageous, and getting him, he's never been on a podcast. He doesn't know what a webcam is. So I think it'd be a lot of fun to have him on for sure.
Yeah, what was he telling you about juvenile hockey?
Juvenile hockey in Ontario, and I said, "What on earth is juvenile hockey in Ontario?" And he goes, "It was junior D," and I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "You're gonna have to explain that to me a little further so that I understand what I'm looking for." So yeah, it was pretty
And
fun.
we'll let him do that on the podcast, and we're gonna have him on to tell some good stories
For
about
sure.
what it was like back then playing hockey for sorry,
Yep.
juvenile hockey. So you guys have that to look forward to. What else, Jimmy? What else do we have to look forward to here coming up? Do we have anything else?
Say that again. No, I didn't catch that
Sorry,
last part.
what else do we have coming down the pipe here? Do we have anything else coming up? Um,
Well, I mean,
we'd
coming
like
up,
to
there's
get
only
some more
10 games
guests
left, so
on.
we'll probably start looking at, yeah, guess for sure. We'd probably start looking at some of the playoff matchups, or once those start getting solidified. But yeah, we'll definitely want to get some guests on and chat hockey. We got lots of very knowledgeable fans of their team, so we'd love to dive in with them and
Yeah,
talk about,
don't be
I
scared.
know,
You're not gonna
well,
sound
you
as
and I
dumb
know,
as us, so
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I
We
think
don't
that's pretty
care
much it.
really.
What do you think? Yeah, we're
Yeah,
just here
just
chatting on. We're a
remember
couple fans, man. We're not,
exactly.
yeah,
Just fans of the game
stick
like
together.
to BS about hockey. So yeah,
Absolutely.
so we'll wrap it up there, but don't forget to follow us on we got YouTube, we got
Hmm.
Spotify, we got Apple iTunes, and Instagram, right?
Yep. We're on X. We're on, yeah, we're everywhere, man. Just need a need to get a following. Phil, you got to start inviting some of your buddies to the Facebook group.
I got to do that for sure. So Brogy, our friend Brogy, he listened to all the episodes, and he said he's looking for his Big Mac. So
Oh, did he claim the Big Mac?
yeah, claim the Big
Tell
Mac. He
Brogy
wants the
next time
Big
I
Mac.
see him, that Big Mac's coming his way, and we'll film him eating it.
You'll just shove it. You'll shove it in his mouth like Ricky shoved that shirt on Randy. Eh? Just
100%. So,
all
well,
right.
should we wrap her?
We'll wrap it
All
up.
right.
Thanks for listening. Take care, guys, and happy Easter.
Happy Easter.